Hello, friends. The 925th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. According to Ukrainian military telegram channels, the Russians have advanced near Vuhledar in the past 24 hours. To the west of Vuhledar, after capturing Prichistivka, they are storming the village of Zolotan-Niva. According to the deep state map, it has moved into the gray zone. The Ukrainian armed forces recaptured Zolotan-Niva last summer during their offensive in the south. The village is on the road to Velika Novosilka, which, if Zolotan-Niva is lost, will be the last settlement left. The distance between the city and the village is 10 kilometers. Velika Novosilka is the second fortified area of the Ukrainian army in the southern Donbass after Vuhledar. If the Russians decide to storm Velika Novosilka, they can also launch an offensive from the south from Staromayorsky and Yevhenii, which they recently recaptured. At the moment, as Russian military telegram channels write, the Russians are trying to reach the opposite bank of the Kashlygach River and create a bridgehead there. However, it is still unclear whether the Russians are seriously planning to storm the area of Velika Novosilka or are conducting a diversionary maneuver, trying to disperse the group defending Vuhledar. Moreover, northeast of Vuhledar they are also advancing, storming the village of Yevhenii. Success there opens the way to bypassing Vuhledar from the north. But in general, Russian troops are indicating movement from the southern front to the north in the direction of Kurakovi and the Kurakovi Reservoir, large, fortified areas of the armed forces of Ukraine. In the same direction, Russian troops are advancing from the north, currently storming Selidov. That is, the general plan remains the same: to bypass the main defensive lines from the rear and create a threat of encirclement of the Ukrainian army on a wide front from Ukrainsk to Vuhledar, prompting the Ukrainian armed forces to retreat west to the border of the Donetsk region with the Dnipropetrovsk and the Zaporizhia regions. In the Donetsk direction, Ukrainian telegram channels record the advance of the Russians in the Druzhba area, but the movement, judging by the deep state map, is to the northwest, towards Konstantinivka Chasiv Yar. Russian telegram channels claim that the Russians today broke through the defense of the Ukrainian armed forces north of this area, near Klishchiivka. And as stated, they made a 3-kilometer dash and occupied the commanding heights located there. In Ukraine, these statements were not commented on or confirmed. If this information is confirmed, then most likely the Russians will move further south, breaking through along the canal line to Kurdimivka, after which they will try to force it. And then, if possible, they will try to reach Konstantinivka, trying to enter the rear of the Ukrainian units that are defending themselves in Chasiv Yar. In the Kursk direction, the situation has not changed in 24 hours. The main attacks of the Ukrainian troops are going along the Malaya-Lokhnia-Martinovka line to align the front and create a more convenient configuration for the future. At the same time, the Russians have so far focused mainly on attacks on the rear, making it difficult for the Ukrainian forces to rotate and complicating the supply of the group that has entered the Kursk region. Today, Zelensky, speaking about the offensive of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region, said that smart ideas were needed. At the same time, he added that they may not be ideal. In an interview with the American television channel NBC, he said that the Ukrainian armed forces had to make an unconventional move to compensate for the shortfalls in Western supplies, especially in artillery shells. Because we didn't have the same packages of weapons, at some point in this supply gap, our use of weapons was 1-12 for artillery shells. It doesn't matter how many people you have standing here. If they have 12 shells and you have one, you'll just have more people standing and more people will die. And so we need to think of some smart ideas. Maybe they weren't ideal, Zelensky said. According to him, Ukraine's offensive in the Kursk region forced Russia to pull 60,000 troops from other parts of the front. Putin also commented on the fighting in the Kursk region today and touched on the topic of negotiations. He called the return of control over the Kursk region a sacred duty of the Russian army. According to him, the situation in the Russian region has already stabilized, and the Russians have begun to gradually squeeze out the Ukrainian armed forces. In his opinion, by attacking Kursk, Ukraine wanted to make Russia fuss and get nervous to stop the offensive in Donbass, but nothing came of it. He claims that as a result, Kyiv weakened itself in key areas by transferring forces to Russia, and the offensive of the Russian army accelerated. The Ukrainian armed forces, Putin claims, are suffering heavy losses, which are fraught with the destruction of the front, can lead to the loss of combat capability, which is what Russia is trying to achieve. The second goal of the Ukrainian army near Kursk, according to Putin, is to destabilize the domestic political situation in Russia. He says that this did not work out. Society has consolidated. He also said that Russia has never refused to negotiate on Ukraine, but not on the basis of ephemeral demands, but on the basis of the Istanbul agreements, which provided for Ukraine's neutrality. According to Putin, the West and Kyiv abandoned the Istanbul agreements in order to achieve a strategic defeat for Russia, but they are not succeeding. As Zelensky said about his readiness for negotiations in an interview with NBC News that Russia must definitely be present at the Second Peace Summit. He says that Ukraine will work out a plan to end the war with the signatories of the Swiss resolution by this event and will propose it for the Second Summit. Representatives of Russia must definitely be there. We understand that without the Russian side, it is very difficult to end this war diplomatically. And all countries asked us to have representatives of Russia at the Second Summit. We said, we are not against it, let's prepare a plan and invite them, Zelensky said. However, the expressed readiness for negotiations is not equal to the desire to end the war, since both sides have incompatible conditions for ending the hostilities. Putin stated that Ukraine should withdraw its troops from the Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Luhansk and Kherson regions, and the official position of Kyiv is the Zelensky peace formula, which provides for the withdrawal of all Russian troops beyond the 1991 borders. True, as we see, Zelensky said that a separate peace plan would be prepared for the summit, which would be offered to Russia. But so far nothing suggests that this plan will be fundamentally different from the peace formula, which Moscow has already called unacceptable. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.